Geocache Talk, a voice on the line I hear, coming through Geocache Talk.
It's time for Geocache Talk. Whether you are at work, in the car, or wherever you are, we hope you enjoy this show about the great sport of geocaching. If you're watching live on YouTube, you can be part of the adventure tonight in the chat room and participate with others as they watch the show. If you are listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app so that you can get all of the weekly Geocache Talk goodness.
Thanks to the Travel Bugs for the opening and our featured patrons, FS Sabero, Geo Rick, Cash Addict Mel, Geocaching Janji, Sir Drumalot, Janice, Cassius, Tom Frey and Heltonen, Rugels, EJK, PBR, and our new patrons, Jokerus, Skippy Teddy 83, and Casper Fly, and Retired Guy. If you'd like to become a patron, click on the Become a Patron link on the front page of the Geocache Talk website, or head on over to patreon.com/Geocache Talk for more details. It's the little heart, by the way, on the website. Oh, the little heart. Patrons get the now famous blackout coin.
Where's mine? I gotta go green today.
All right, that's fine. You can go green. There's the back of it. It's going to change someday, but
yeah, I know a secret about this one though.
More to talk about. Yeah, what's that?
I can't say though, right? I can't say that. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Bonus content, special invites to special events. We have done a lot of that. We've been doing some of that lately. Book club is this Monday?
Not tomorrow. A week from tomorrow.
Week from tomorrow. Okay,
yeah.
And then week from tomorrow. And like I said, special events. Support levels start at as little as Bison Tube level, which is $3 a month, and we now have 3 levels. So you can pick any of those 3 levels: $3, $5, $10. And I sent a note to the $8 level ammo can people to let them know they can stay at $8 if they want, but we're not.
They're grandfathered in for the rest of their life.
Yeah, they're for the rest of their life. But from now on, we're only taking 3, 5, and 10. So no big deal. But all right. So let's jump right in. We've got a lot to talk about in our Smorgasbord. So let's start with some news. So yes,
that is so cool.
So yes, we did change up today's show. We felt better about this Smorgasbord, and so that's what we changed to. By the way, if you're wondering what Smorgasbord means, I have the definition for you. I'm going to put it in the.
Everybody remembers that from the what was it, the Muppets?
Yeah, the Swedish Chef.
Yeah, the Swedish Chef.
It is. Smorgasbord is a type of Scandinavian meal originated in Sweden, served buffet style with multiple hot and cold dishes of various foods on a table. Sorry, I had my microphone over here.
I thought you sounded different. I didn't realize what it was.
Is a microphone. Smorgasbord, type of Scandinavian meal originating in Sweden, served buffet style with multiple hot and cold dishes of various foods on a table.
And just to be clear, none of that applies to this show. We're just appropriating the word for our show because we like it.
That's right.
So how about that?
So let me step back a moment, and it's Swiss for Gary's going to spill the beans. No, Haagen-Dazs bratwurst and Smorgasbord. Butterfly Girl likes to go. I do too. I'm in for that too. So let's step back a moment and welcome Jesse back to the show.
Yeah, I've been gone for a couple weeks, but you know what? 2 weeks, yeah.
2 weeks.
Sometimes it's just time to go visit family, and you have to get out of town. And as we all know, family comes first. So I got to go visit both sets, the CFO's dad and mom, and my parents as well. So it was it was great. Unfortunately, I had to miss both shows because we drove instead of flying in this time. But obviously, we cheated a little bit and got some caches along the way. So that was cool. But
we'll talk about that. Yeah, that's
but I've been gone for a couple of weeks. I'm glad to be back.
We're glad to have you back. Although we're glad Derek filled in too.
Oh yeah,
we had a lot of fun. We'll talk a little bit about that tonight as well. Glad to see everybody on tonight. It's I'm glad Scott is back. Cache mishmash. That's a good way to put it.
That's a good one too. I like that. Yeah.
So Scott, we missed you, buddy. So somebody mentioned
really kind of the explanation of all of it is we have all these little things we want to talk about that don't take up a whole show because we have such good guests and Gary's always booking great people on here. So every once in a while we take a chance to throw a bunch of stuff in there together because some of these would not fill up a whole show, right? But they're interesting little tidbits on geocaching.
Yeah, we're gonna go a little. We have a lot of news tonight. So Scott, hang on, buddy. The show's already started. Started 6 minutes ago, but we do have some extra news that we need to get to tonight, and then we're going to get into the Smorgasbord here in a moment. But let's start with souvenir that was this weekend. Let's talk a little bit about your experience this weekend. I know we both had
Earth Cache Day, 2020, and
we
it
both
was interesting for both of us, right?
Yeah,
it was different than normal years.
Yeah. I guess I'll start and I'll hear how yours went because you have a lot of Earth caches that you've published. I only have 3. I have one out in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming. Wyoming?
Probably.
Where's the cache?
Yeah.
Where's Conformity? Yeah. And then 2 local ones which just published like a week ago. In fact, one was somebody got an FTF on it on International Earth Cache Day. How about that?
Very cool. Yeah.
But there was on the streets. In fact, the police had to be out there escorting people in to the Earth caches. So that was kind of cool to see that because all of Dallas-Fort Worth geocachers came to Greenville to get new Earth caches that they hadn't gotten because there aren't that many over in the DFW area. And so, no, it wasn't that many, but it was a lot. In fact, I got several comments of people who are like, "Oh, I went to do your Earth cache today, answer sent, blah, blah, blah." We'll talk about that later. But they were like, I got there and there was like 4 other cachers there. So they had little mini events that people were going to with the 2 caches that I had in town. And so it was fun to hear about those. There was one lady who had never done an Earth cache before, and it worked out great. She got there, she looked lost, I guess, and somebody goes, "Can I help you?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm trying to do this Earth cache, but I don't understand quite." And this one of our wonderful geocachers jumped in and helped her understand the whole thing, sent her answers in. She did great. She did both Earth caches, and now we have a new Earth cache finder in the world thanks to another geocacher.
Well, and it's interesting you said that because it's no secret, my opinion of Earth caches. They're not my favorite type to go for, right? However, just like you said, the reason why I keep putting them out is because some people really enjoy them. And that's kind of a prelude to what we're going to talk about tonight. Like everybody has their own caching style. And some of the things people will never care about. And some of the things are people's obsession. But we try to cover all of that. And it seems kind of hypocritical because we talk about put out the cache, that you would want to find. Yeah. And I actually found that one Jeremy's talking about.
That's cool, Jeremy.
And I don't. I have 32 Earth caches out there. I've almost published as many as I've found. But that's because other people enjoy it. So I feel like that's an okay exception to that rule. And like with Earth Cache Day, I had a ton of emails this weekend.
Oh, I did too. First time.
Yeah, and it's funny too because I get emails from some people and they're in the same boat as I am. They're like, "I'm not good at Earth caches. This is the best answer I can come up with." And I try to tell every one of them, that's okay. You were there, you tried, and absolutely. I had somebody, I may have mentioned it, but I had somebody DNF one of my Earth caches. They were like, "I just couldn't figure this out." So I emailed him
Oh,
back and I was like, dude, were you there at all? And he
that's
goes, yeah, I was
sad.
there. I saw this and this. I was like, that's good enough.
Yeah.
And I may catch some flack for this, but I found this on another Earth cache, and I think it's appropriate because of this weekend, right? But and somebody else's Earth cache, so I'll give them credit if I know who it was. I don't know who it was. But it said
Very true.
all reasonable attempts will be accepted at the bottom of the Earth cache. And I thought that is great because people get intimidated by Earth caches a lot. So it's good that you're like, you know what? It's not trying to trick you. It's a good thing.
That's cool. Great to see a New Zealand location on the Earth Cache Day souvenir. Oh, that's neat. Yeah, I should have been paying more attention. Thanks, Rick. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I will have to admit I did not find an Earth cache this weekend. So there was not one anywhere close to me that I didn't own that wouldn't take a 2 or 3 hour hike, and I didn't have time this weekend because
we both
going on.
Yeah, we both had something. You'll talk about your weekend, but for me, I had all my kids came back to town. My son, who lives in Georgia, flew back. My son and daughter-in-law, who live in Little Rock, they live in Maumelle. For those in Arkansas, if you want to get specific, but they drove down. So we had a whole family here. Of course, the grandson was the star of the weekend.
Well,
so
of course.
I got some good photos of he and I together this weekend. But we did go hiking. We DNF'd a cache, and then we went downtown McKinney, which was packed. And we did stuff together. We went and played. There's a arcade in McKinney. I know you probably heard some of these. You pay $12 and you can play all day. You just walk up to the machine and push the button.
Yeah, that's fun.
So I took some photos of the Ms. Pac-Man, send those to Doug, which I don't think he probably is like, stop doing that. But they put the Ms. Pac-Man logo on the women's restroom. So I thought that was kind of funny. So I took a photo and sent it to him. So
that is cool though. No,
it was fun. We got to play some old school games. I played a lot of Galaga. That man is playing Galaga. And so that's one of my favorite. My other daughter-in-law loves Ms. Pac-Man, so she played that a lot. So, it was good. So, yeah, we didn't get a lot of caching this weekend, but we got some plans. Susan and I have some plans for next weekend, but we'll get to that. Let's jump down. I do want to mention there's a special Gadget Talk show this coming Saturday. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be Saturday at noon Central Time. So adjust your clock accordingly where you are in the world. But they're going to have on Daniel Flieger, as we know, Geheim Punk. He is in Hanover, Germany. He's created a geocaching wonderland in Hanover. And he'll be on a special Gadget Talk show. So keep your eyes open for that. Hopefully you have liked and subscribed and have ring the bell notification for Geocache Talk, and you will get those notifications. So that's coming up. You have huge announcement coming soon. I always say that. We're actually have a meeting now in 2 weeks about huge announcement number 1. We'll call it number 1. And huge announcement number 2 is still in works, but it's going to be a little later on. So is that cryptic enough? I think so.
It is, but some people know what we're talking about. We've been able to share with some people so far.
Patrons know.
Well, we can't share with everybody until we have permission to share stuff with everybody, and we'll get there. Hey, the big things take a long time, right?
Yeah. They're both pretty big. One is involved with other parties, so obviously it's outside.
Now, just cut it off because you're going to spit.
People know that if it's outside of. If you're working with somebody outside of Geocache Talk, it's going to take a little longer to coordinate.
Of course, yeah.
So, we're about 8 weeks away. In fact, we are today. We are exactly 8 weeks away from Podcast to Hope.
Right, which is our number one focus. I mean, we're working on other products behind us, but that's our number one focus right now. We want to make that as successful as we can, right?
And I'm putting in there where our current total. So, I gotta fix it. Hang on. I'll get it. If I could type today, thank you very much. We are currently at $1,000 already, going towards 75,000. Is that our goal this year? No.
75,000. Oh my God. Oh, Gary.
8,000.
8,000. Yeah, we're moving the goal up again this year to $8,000, which is a huge amount for a very niche. I mean, we all do geocaching, but in the big scheme of like fundraisers, this is a very small group of people to raise that much money.
Yes. I actually have the link, although I don't know if I really should share that because people will give and they're like, hey, why didn't I win anything? Because you really don't want to give. Well, you can give anytime you want, but we would appreciate if you are going to give using this particular link, but we suggest you wait to give this year's gift until Podcast to Hope because you might win a prize. That's all we're saying.
Yeah. So Kenny, Mason, Maddie, they were asking, how do they donate? We'll get all the information out to everybody. It'll be plastered everywhere shortly. The donation link for Podcast to Hope for St. Jude. And as Gary said, you can win prizes to do it through this, but if you wanted to donate a different way, we will tell you always to donate for St. Jude. But we're going to try to give prizes away and have a big fun thing to do too. So, and then we had another question. When was this announced to the patrons? Recently, we had a patron party. Not everybody I know got to attend, but we did leak some of this news. So some people do know some of it. Some people missed it, which everybody couldn't be there, but nobody's going to miss these things as they come out. We were just leaking some information on that party. And we'll get it out to everybody eventually as it's appropriate, but we couldn't hold on to it any longer. So we had to leak some of it out.
Right. And somebody mentioned about 8,000 Canadian or US,
Both
8,000 US dollars, but Australian. I like that. But by the way, just do want to mention, if you are an international listener or watcher of the show and you'd like to become a patron, you can now become a patron in your own currency. In many countries, I don't know if it's every country, but most of the major countries, you can now do that. So good news. You don't have to sit there and try to calculate or figure something out, or they're doing it now in other international currencies. So that, for what it's worth, that's kind of nice. Patreon, they improve stuff all the time too. So
speaking of patrons,
yes,
it's my turn.
It is your turn. Tell the story, or
it was also my birthday weekend this weekend. So it was International Earth Cache Day and my birthday, which I'm going to get on to Brian for that, because why is he going to put Earth Cache Day on my birthday? That's ridiculous. As a setup.
Joke.
But since it's my birthday and it was 10/10, we have for the Golden Ammo Can patrons, I'd give it to everybody if I could, but Gary has to hold me back sometimes. But I have a prize or a present for my birthday that I want to send to some of the Golden Ammo Can patrons. I'm not going to say what it is yet because I want to get it to them first, and then I'll let everybody know what it was later. But and then I'll make an announcement of what that was. But I wanted to send them because they make this happen, and I get all givey when we get around the Podcast of Hope, because it's so important to us that we couldn't do this without patrons and stuff. So I'm giving them a present for my birthday, and they'll find out what it is first, and then we'll say what it is later. So
that was awesome.
It's my birthday. I can do what I want, right?
It's your party, and you'll cry
right.
if you want to. Cry if you want to.
But nothing huge. It's not a car, but it's just something hopefully fun for the patrons. That for that group of patrons. I can't give it to everybody. I couldn't afford that, but this will be good. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Just a little announcement, but I wanted to give it to them. So, and then that's almost all the news we have, isn't it?
Yeah, I do want to mention real quick. I got to put the shows up. Ooh,
yeah.
It doesn't come up very well in the notes, but it's kind of mishmashed. But next week, show 220 with Cache Canada. So I know they're in the chat room tonight, but we're going to talk about Road Trip 2020. It's actually 2020/2021, and they'll talk about the road trip theme that they're working on right now and how it's gone so far and how it's going to be going in the future, and get some updates from them. In 2 weeks, we're going to talk about building cache pages with Owen from KC, and Owen KC, however he wants to put Owen, is going to tell us how to make our cache pages look beautiful.
That's right.
Perfect. No, they'll be fun because I don't know. My cache pages look terrible, and my cache. I stick Project GC on my profile page. We'll talk about profile pages, as well, and it's like mine looks like junk. So I just put Project GC and let it go. And then in 3 weeks, on, can you believe it? November 1st.
I know.
Wow, it's almost November. Show 222 is Adventure Labs Extraordinaire, and we've got Rich Reagan on with us to talk about how to make a really awesome adventure lab, better than the ones you've seen so far, I think.
Yeah, those are a lot of good things coming up. I'm excited about all three of the ones coming up. Obviously, the cache pages thing has always been a pet peeve of mine. People that don't put much effort, not a pet peeve, but just it's such a missed opportunity to make a really great cache. And during the road trip episode, I will be on a road trip during the road trip and be reporting from the road. So you can't be more on location than that.
I said November. No.
I'm ready for November and December. Let's just move on to 2021. Going.
Yep. Okay. I think we're done with that. And we're into the topics at 8:22. That's not bad.
Well, it's good because our topics are all over the place.
Yeah.
We want to do them though. They're just all over the place.
Yeah. So we wanted to clarify something from last week. There was a comment made by Just Finding Our Way, was a little bummed at our Creative Cache versus Gadget Cache show, and he was glad he wasn't there for it, and he was a little miffed, and that's understandable because he didn't really understand what we were going for, and so I wanted to clarify from last week's show. We were debating between gadget caches and creative caches, and the definition we gave for a creative cache was based on whether it was a gadget cache or a creative cache, not that it was the definition for a creative cache. In fact, I'm
trying to have a distinction between the two, what you were talking about for that discussion. Yeah.
Right. Here's the full definition of a creative cache. It's a geocache relating to or involving the imagination or original ideas, especially in the production of an artistic build. That really is a full definition of a creative cache. Now we got into, which is more of a breakdown of Derek's definition of creative cache, and this is creative cache versus a gadget cache. So he's saying to make it so that a creative cache that is not a gadget cache is one that gains access to the log. You have to solve a physical puzzle on the cache container itself. That is different than the definition of a gadget cache, which is it requires a type of mechanical or electrical mechanism to access the logbook. That is more of a definition of a gadget. Hope that helps.
Yeah, and just as you know, everybody has different opinions on that. And we've talked about this before. This is why there's probably not a gadget cache attribute, because everybody has a different definition of it. There is no official definition of what a gadget versus creative cache is, right? Like, when you first see something, everything's like a piece of gum, nano.
Yeah.
Could be considered creative by many.
Sure.
For other people that have found 100 of those, that's just something you buy in the store. So, I think the point is not, you could never list what every creative cache was or gadget cache was. That was just a discussion point to try to divide it for the show.
Right. And so
Yeah.
that's why I gave more of a full definition, which is that it's involves imagination or original ideas, especially in the production of an artistic build. Fake giant rocks that or fake stump that they did on Gadget Talk this week, where they had Roomba Cats on, and he showed his how to make a fake stump. That is a creative cache. You can make it into a gadget cache possibly, but it's creative. It's involves the imagination or it's an original idea, especially in the production of an artistic build. So there you go. And that's
Yeah. So it's
there you go.
discussion points, right? There's no way we're going to get everybody to agree on something gray like that at all, for sure.
But we wanted to make sure people understood that we weren't saying that all creative caches have to have some kind of
No.
Yeah. All right. Quick update to Adventure Labs. This one's yours.
Okay, so we got an Adventure Lab one coming up, so we're not going to get deep into this, but this is just one of those aspects we've talked about it before, and we just want to kind of update. Are you doing them?
Am I doing them? You asking me, or are you asking the
you
chat room? Me? Oh yeah,
chat room too. But I'm asking you personally. I'm gonna what we're gonna kind of go into a theme of tonight is kind of how we cache differently.
Yeah,
it's kind of like what we just talked about. Like everybody's gonna have a different definition. Our caching styles have really changed over the years, which we're going to talk about too. But also, you and I, both experienced cachers, we really cache differently.
We do, for the most part. There's some things we do.
Opinions on Adventure Labs.
Yeah, we both. This is one thing we both probably are very similar on. That is, if an Adventure Lab is nearby, then we do it.
Yeah. Well,
there's a reason. What's that?
Within reason. Now there was
within reason.
We drove through Kansas City last week.
Yes.
And there were more than we could possibly have gotten.
Oh yeah.
There's Adventure Labs everywhere, right? But are you enjoying them? Let me put it that way.
I am enjoying them for the most part. We have 3 in town. Oh, can you believe it? 3 in Greenville. No, 2 in Greenville. 2 in Greenville right now. 2. Sorry. Yeah, 2. And one of them was great, and one had a problem, I think, on every single step of the 5. 5 labs, and all 5 were kind of a mess. So it took multiple people to explain what they were or what was going on. One of them, it was misspelled. So and
that was kind of so today I want to I know we're going to get into the nuts and bolts and how to do it and everything else on our upcoming lab show. That's why I just want to take a minute to do our opinion on them. And so we've been enjoying them.
Yes.
We have found a lot is relative, right? A lot compared to what a large percentage of our caches we found this year since COVID have been Adventure Labs. We've been gobbling those up pretty good.
Yeah.
Now opinion-wise, I would say I have found some that are really neat.
Yes.
And I found some where they're pretty basic. But I haven't had any that were bad. I had one that had a mistake in it, but I knew the cache owner, and it was a mistake that she wouldn't have known. Like there was a second set of answers there.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Just random, and nobody knew it at first. But all of the Adventure Labs that I found, I had one that I went to the place and it was closed. Like it was closed off. But it was like the 3rd one out of 5, and there was no real warning on it. So, you could update that if you wanted to, the cache owner. But I would say overall, I'm enjoying them more than I thought I would.
Right. Yeah. Most people are saying they're enjoying them. As a misadventure lab, that is.
Lab, I like that.
There are some of those.
So I think we're up to.
This is kind of cool. 5 ice cream places. I'm in for that.
Now I like that. We're up to about 315 finds on lab caches now. I don't know how many you found, but what percentage of yours would you say are kind of creative?
Ooh.
And now, if you want to really be honest, how many have you given 5 stars to?
I've overstarred most of them.
Well, you just admitted it from the very beginning. Okay.
And I originally understarred the one in town. Because I was still a little miffed at the fact that I had to ask like 10 people to figure out how this, because the one of them didn't make any, it made no sense whatsoever. And somebody had figured it out, but it's like, I'm standing here, I'm looking, there's no way I can answer this. And they go, well, if you're not standing in the place you're supposed to stand, but if you go down the street a little ways, you'll see what they're talking about. Then you could go back to the location and then answer the question. It's like, I shouldn't have to do all that. You get 1 star. You're a 1 star. And I went, no, I can't do that. So I gave him 3 stars.
Yeah.
But I would say, I would say the majority of them I have enjoyed. And I think I think that, well, the one in town that's very creative isn't just a historical, you could do it. I mean, I love history, so don't get me wrong, but they could have done just a standard historical, Greenville history. Instead, they decided to trick it up and they did, giving them all 5 stars. Yeah, that's true. They did have some effort there, but I gave, this one, he basically made up a story that aliens landed and created the city of Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
And so he used different locations around downtown Greenville to describe what the aliens did and how they
I like that.
tried to function in regular society and not be found out. And this was their, they decided to do this. And we now know that, so it was very creative. So I've seen some that are very creative. I think I mentioned to you the one, we did one in Arkansas and the place wasn't open. So it was a little tougher to circumnavigate to all the, because normally you would go, in fact, one of them was inside the museum, but it was closed. And I had to negotiate, almost literally bribe the guy that I could stand near the front of this museum. He was a little freaked out about that, but I was explaining to him that I got to be close enough that I can get the information and then we can figure out what to do. But he was like, we're closed. I was like, I understand we're closed. And I tried to explain to him what, anyway, he finally let me stand, a couple feet closer than he was originally going to let me stand. And I got it done. But anyway, so I don't know. Have you found yours to be creative and fun that you've done so far? I know yours was fun to do, but
yeah. So I've been having fun doing them. Now when they go to the historical places, Christy loves them. I like them that if they make up a little bit of story like that, the aliens or whatever. Yeah, that gets me. I love those. Now I will admit I like when they have a little looser boundaries because we went to one on the way and it was at a presidential museum that was closed.
Oh yeah.
We were able to kind of like walk around the outside of the building and guess
right.
And we got it right. You can see you can see everything from the outside, but everything was closed. So we're still able to navigate and do it.
Right.
But I haven't found a bunch that were overly creative.
Sure.
Now, I've heard of a bunch of them like that. And I found a few that were pretty neat the way they put them together.
Right.
I haven't seen a lot of, and we'll get into this in the bigger show, right? But I haven't seen a lot that are using the multimedia features that are available.
Right.
I know they exist. I've heard about them, but I haven't come across them myself yet.
Sherry's mentioned the yes, she knows the one I'm talking about that I did.
Yeah.
Which had a really cool bonus. I don't know if you found any cool, like legit cool bonus caches. We found a cool bonus cache.
Yeah, we found a few, yeah.
Most of them are pretty generic, aren't they?
It depends on how close to the rules they're following, but yeah. Like I broke the rules a little. I didn't really break the rules technically.
Yeah.
They're a little bit further off the rules. I found a few, I'm not going to tell anybody, but I found a few that are similar. They kind of stretch the rules. And we'll talk about that in the show coming up. But I found some decent I found some bonus lab caches, and one of them recently. I'll bring it up for the show when we do the show, but that was better than the labs.
Jesse knows the one you're doing.
Like the bonus cache got a favorite point. The labs were just labs. So,
have you noticed in the app that you can now request adventure builder credits? I don't know if everybody's seen that or not. So hopefully we're giving you some good information. But you can now request adventure builder credits. So I don't know if now I've got one that we're working on for another one. But I'm thinking about asking for a third because it's on there. Why not? I'm sure
we encourage everybody to try to do one. We encourage everybody, whether you're deep into them or not.
Yeah.
Try every aspect of the game because you don't know. So I would encourage everybody to try to do at least, to publish at least a set. But I would definitely want to go find some. But I would try to publish a set if you have the opportunity because they may or may not stay around.
Yes.
In the current form, right? Well, they obviously won't stay in their current form because there's no permissions on it. You can post those jokers anywhere without asking anybody.
Yep.
You just hit publish and they're published. So obviously that won't last forever. But I would encourage everybody that gets the opportunity to definitely publish at least one set.
Yeah. Now, Jeff's kind of done his, I wouldn't say backwards, but he did it. Which is not bad. His bonus cache, he already placed it, but he's going to finish his, which is fine. You want to find a good place. You don't want to have your bonus cache sort of be an afterthought.
No.
You really don't want it to be an LPC. I mean,
so here's the question.
Sherry received notification of.
Oh, nice. Yeah, we got another new one near us too. We're gonna go get
cool.
In a town maybe 20 miles south of us or whatever. But so here's the real question.
Yes.
Are these the next virtuals?
I don't think so.
Virtual /AR/ Where I Go. Is this the new iteration of all those?
I'm going to say no. I'm gonna go out on a limb. Is that on a limb? Maybe no. I'm going to say no. I think that they want to leave Adventure Labs. I don't think they call them labs anymore, do they?
Adventures.
They're just adventures. I think they're going to leave it. Yeah, they're just adventures. I'm just going to. I think that no, it's adventures, but then when you pull it up, it says Adventure Labs. I think they're going to leave it. And I think they're going to leave. I think they're going to leave virtuals the same because I think that in a couple of years they're going to go back and give everybody a few extras like they did before. No, that's a good question. So, yeah, I saw that earlier. Did you see that question? Can you have Pizza Ninja? Could a bonus cache lead to a Where I Go?
So no. So if you want the real answer, a bonus cache has to be. It is supposed to be, by the rules, it's supposed to be an unknown cache to call it a bonus cache. Can you lead to a Where I Go? Yes. You just can't call it a bonus cache. You can lead to all kinds of caches, but that can't be the only way to find it. If it's a bonus cache and the only way to find it is to find another cache, it has to be an unknown type. So that's the short version of that.
Yep.
Trust me, because I've talked to a lot of reviewers on it.
Yeah.
But I have great reviewers, so I'm able to ask them all kinds of questions, so it works out. I think some version of the lab cache is going to be what stays around forever. I think Where I Go's are going to be one of those things that there's no reason to redo Where I Go currently the way it is.
No.
Without coming with something totally different. Now, do I think they'll say you can't do them anymore? No, I think it'll just be one of those old grandfather types that you could still make if you know how to do it, but they're not going to push them, right?
Sure.
Same thing with virtuals. I think they'll put out like they're doing now. Every once in a while, they'll do a new wave of them just to keep it active.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly okay with. The only problem, and ARs, I think that's going to be an experimental thing. They might combine with labs later or something. But the only thing the labs don't do currently, in my opinion, the reason why we can't replace Where It Goes with them is because you can't do them offline.
Right.
So in the mountains, they're no good.
You have no signal.
So,
well, you have signal,
stuff like that. So hopefully they'll keep all of them available.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that I think AR. I don't really know. It's a good question for Brian. We'll have to have him back on. I think that AR maybe they're unsure.
So reviewers are allowing all types of bonus caches. And if your reviewer does that, don't tell on them.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just against the rules, but just don't tell on them.
Don't tell anybody, but you can't really do that.
Because I have some that are I'm just going to say that the rules are the rules. So,
but AR is weird. I think that I don't know. I really don't know what happened. I know that Mr. Jesse Tuttle has worked with them on that. Okay. Good question, Ryan. Thanks, Ryan. Oh, sorry. Push on one. Can't have a current credit or an active adventure according to the little bit. Okay, good. So there you go. So, but if you don't have one, click on that and get you one.
Now, ARs, and I know we're kind of getting off topic, but we're talking about all kinds of stuff today. And really what we're talking about is all different types and styles of caching today.
Yeah.
But for my opinion, adventure, the augmented reality ones, weren't as successful as some people thought they were. I don't think they were that great. Now, we can talk about that on a whole nother show. I'm sure we could. And people might tear me up for this, but here's my opinion. I don't know if it's worth the trouble for them, because it could easily just fit, making it a whole special thing. Like, you can always do a puzzle that does almost anything, right? But the problem was using a third-party app.
Yeah.
Is it worth HQ developing their own app for this, or trusting another app, when really it's just a subset of puzzles, right? Just like or anything else. I would rather them spend their time developing many other things than that.
I agree.
I didn't think they were terrible, but I wasn't super excited about them either.
I mean, I enjoyed making the very first one in Texas, and you did the first one in Colorado. But I know there was mixed. I know that it was very mixed. People, there was AR. What was the HP reveal?
Yeah, the HP in the metaverse or whatever it was.
I used metaverse, and I mean, that was kind of the easiest. But I think that it was kind of. It had issues. I know there was mixed. It was mixed. I know that there, like I said, Jesse,
I would agree with right there.
Should just allow yours as another type of puzzle. Yeah, that's probably smart.
100%. I mean, I would rather. There's so many bigger projects that HQ could work on than the AR.
Yeah, HP reveal's gone. Yeah, we know. Yeah.
There you go. Then that's the problem they run into, right? They don't want to send somebody to a third-party app that has now been traded off to some other company that could have some bad advertising that they don't want kids to see, So I understand that.
Yeah. I mean, Metaverse still there, but again, and Tom's right. ARs work different.
Yeah.
I know people had issues with I get people who try to find my AR, and they're like, I'm having problems, and it'll be like, oh, okay, help me. What kind of problems you having? And it's like, it's because they're either trying to do it through Droid or iPhone or whatever. They're having some problems with it. So I agree.
I'm not one of those that says get rid of them. It's just not my favorite part of it. Some people probably love those and are crazy about them. It's not my style. I'll do every part of the game, but that's not what gets me excited. The AR isn't really what gets me excited. So.
And so tonight we're talking about a lot about our different varying caching tendencies. I don't know how you'll put it.
Styles change. Different
styles.
Yeah.
So you asked this question, and so we'll ask it of the chat room as well. We'll discuss how has your geocaching changed in 2020 pandemic currently. That's for sure. It really has changed.
And I sent this poll out a week or two ago to the patrons.
Right.
And it was funny. It was really a mix. It was very situational. Some people had found more.
Right.
Some people found the exact same number. Some people had found less. It was really all over the board. So it's hard to know. Like your automatic instinct would be most people have found less. But that's not true.
Yeah. Well, how is yours? I need to go look. I think I'm behind.
Oh, I think I'm way less than normal.
Are you less than last year's pace?
Yeah, yeah.
I need to look. I don't think I'm too far off my pace of last year. I don't think. Let me take a look. Good question. That's a
So
good question. Everybody take a look and see where you're
I'm way behind as far as I know.
at.
So I'm at like I haven't logged last week's yet, but I'm at like 675 for the year, and
Yeah.
last year I got 1973. So
I am behind last year's pace. I'm finding zero point 0.8 a day, so I found 251 this year.
mhm.
Normally, I'm around. I try to. It obviously mine. That's a whole other show, but mine has really changed over the years. But the last couple of years, I've been in the 300s as far as fines, and I'll probably be there again this year. But last year, my sort of generic goal is to find 365 and 365 days, just to kind of, I don't know,
Average out one a day.
average one a day. But I don't. You can tell I don't really care about that a whole lot. But
I think we're kind of in a change phase too, right? Like, so me and you talked off air, but like I went home to family and we visited.
yeah,
And I drove across a lot of states. I could have gotten a lot of caches in the past I might have, but instead, this time we targeted certain caches.
yeah.
I don't think in that 10 days driving across country, we haven't logged them all yet, but which is sad because I think it's less than 20 total that we found in all those days.
That wasn't your goal.
But that wasn't my goal, right? So we picked out certain ones. We got 2 year 2000s. We got a webcam. We got a new state. We did some adventure labs while we were there. But all of those were like high value goals for us and really enjoyable, right? We picked out certain ones. We didn't just stop every every 5 feet and get one. And, we kind of go back and forth where we pick out quality caches along the way, one of which was, Gorilla Stash, which is a big monkey, big gorilla that you get to take your picture next to. Has been out for 20 years.
Oldest in Arkansas.
Oldest in Arkansas, yeah. And it was totally out of the way. We drove hours out of the way to get it on the way, right? However, we had a lot of fun because we were anticipating that one cache. So where years past, we might have picked up, several hundred on that trip. We only picked up about 20. And
boy, Harry's right.
That quality versus quantity, right?
Yeah.
We go back and forth on all the time. So,
but Harry's right. Missing events, man. I can't tell you how much I'm missing events.
I'm doing a weekly one, but
I know, but that hurt. It hurts to miss the big one.
It does the big ones and traveling for events. Yeah.
Did you do a mega this year at all?
Nope.
I did. We got the ones down here. We got lucky. The Texas Challenge was right at the beginning of the pandemic, and so we got to go to that mega, experiencing everybody, give everybody, and we got our shirts. It was exciting for us. That it was this year for various reasons, but we're in the Hall of Fame now. That was
Oh, you got to go off the ammo can.
Or the Hall of Fame inductions. Oh, people don't need to discover that tonight. There's our Hall of Fame ammo can.
Very nice.
We're there. There we are. Should everybody's name on it, but that's okay. That's just the founders, I guess, is the way to put it. So that was fun to get that.
Well, and a few people are on pace to beat last year's total, so that's good.
That is cool. Well, a lot of people, I think Mike mentioned that he was on pace for early, but the fact that we weren't, we had all the plans in place for Mingo Madness, and we've had to put that off.
Yeah, I won't go to a mega this year. So
no. So it's been a rough year. I mean, and so as far as caching goes, our little group's gotten out a couple times, 3 times this year. I think we'll get one more in, and that'll basically be our caching group. We normally do about 4 trips, 4 excursions a year, and so I think we'll end up doing the same amount. So,
Yeah, I have that. The road trip I've got coming up. It's not a numbers run, but it's some for my challenges. It's high value targets. So
yeah,
that whole specific caches over just huge runs of caches, and it's not going to be one of those years where I'm going to have exciting super duper numbers anyway. So I might as well target all the certain caches that I want, right?
yeah. I'll put one in the show notes that there's several for next year, obviously.
And
But have any megas published? Kind of all the megas that got put on hold are being published. There's some new ones. I know of one that we found out about tonight. In case anybody wants to go check out the one, it's going to be Memorial Day. I think that's it. GC91060. GC91060. I think that's right. Let me look that one up real quick. That is Moga for next year, in case anybody's interested in that. 91060. Make sure I get this correct. Yeah, Moga 2021 event.
Just publish it.
Yeah, it's been published, so that's out there. So
that kind of leads to the next question.
Owensboro, which that's just south of Cincinnati, so it's kind of a suburb. So go ahead.
We hope megas are coming back soon, right? But we don't know anything right now. In the midst of all of this, what kind of has you, since we're not doing megas, and it's no secret, you and I both love going to megas and events to chat with people and stuff like that. But
we have
in the absence of that, what has you excited about geocaching right now? What's the part that's kind of keeping you going?
I've put out some creative caches lately. I've got another one that I'm putting out this week that I'm very excited about. I worked with Chad, who makes great gadget caches. This one's a creative cache, but very excited to put that new one out. So I guess that's kind of what's that?
So publishing caches is kind of what you're.
Yeah, I'd say publishing caches right now, and we'll probably do one more Motley Caching Crew meetup. But other than that, it's those two things, and what's going on with the network. You and I are super busy with things that are going on, and we've got so many things coming out. Announcement wise, we've got more than just the two big ones, but we got two huge things plus a bunch of smaller things we haven't been able to talk about yet. But we're excited to talk about those. UDAC saying about completing challenges, that's kind of cool. I mean, those are always a good distraction. Distraction? Is that a good way to put it? Good goal. Those are good goals to have right now.
Not distraction. Shame on you.
Distractions.
I would agree with you. And I don't think you've actually mentioned it directly, but you did get your 3 Earth caches published.
Yes.
Means you qualify because of the caches you found also for the Platinum Earth Cache Master, which is
kind of cool.
Anytime you get a new status or goal, as long as you've been in the game, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
You get a new thing. It's like a challenge or goal or anything else. It's neat when you can mark one of those things off your list.
Yeah.
But and then so kind of to piggyback, mine's kind of the same right now, right? We're not finding a lot of caches right now, but we're finding some old ones. We're marking off some challenges. But I guess the other big thing is we really thought all this pandemic crap would be over by now.
Yeah.
We did a huge hard push to make sure we had tons of content out there for anybody that didn't do it. And now that this is going out longer, we're just doing more and more content for bigger and bigger stuff.
Yeah.
We hope that all of our behind the scenes stuff to put out good stuff goes to waste because everything gets turned off and we go back to normal. But we don't think that's happening right now. So we're going to keep making these big projects and lots of fun stuff and hope that we can continue to provide some good stuff during what we wished was already over, this crazy pandemic, right?
Well, one of the big projects is on hold because of the pandemic.
Right.
The other project is sort of being pushed forward, pushed to the forefront because
Directly related to the pandemic.
because of the pandemic. So it's sort of one of those weird deals where if for some reason the pandemic sort of just all sort of, I wouldn't say ended overnight, but if it sort of petered out and we were able to kind of get back to somewhat normal, one of the things would get moved forward and the other one would get moved pretty much out of the way. So
So that's kind of what's got us excited right now. Challenges, goals, we talk about that, publishing caches.
Yep.
We really hope events get back in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're pretty much on the same page with that one then. It's not surprising.
Adventure Labs, we're both working. You said Christy's working on hers?
Yeah, so I did the first one, and I did it, and my daughter helped me. So my 13-year-old daughter helped me.
Yeah.
And videos in it and everything else, and me and her are both in the videos, and it's an audio related podcast and at the library and stuff, and it was a lot of fun to do. But Christy didn't really get to help much on the first one because I kind of took the reins and I had an idea of what I wanted to do, so I ran with it.
Yeah.
Well, the second one, she mentioned beforehand, like she goes, if we get one next time, I kind of want to do it.
Yeah.
So we didn't know at the time we were getting one. And then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, we got one. I was like, well, hey, guess what? You get to do it. So she's been pulling up a lot of information. She has a lot of good ideas, which I'm not going to mention now, but she has a lot of good ideas for it. And I think she's going to blow me out of the water on her version of the lab caches, but that's okay.
Sounds familiar to what we're doing. The same thing. I had an idea. Well, I wanted one because the big virtual that was at the toilet seat museum they had to archive that.
Yeah.
So that was a bummer. They couldn't move they weren't allowed to move well, they probably could, but the guy didn't want to move the virtual, and it had so many favorite points you can imagine. So I wanted to get one at the toilet seat museum, the new toilet seat museum. So I was like, that's kind of took that adventure lab. And then I told Susan, I said, I want you to do one. And she has a great idea for one. We're hoping to get it done this coming weekend. So again, same thing. Like you said, hers will be great. I already kind of know where we're going with it, but that's hers. And so I'm going to support her on doing that one. So that's going to be fun to do that. So, but yeah, we're similar.
All right. So do you want to switch over to this next one? And maybe you have more information than I do. This is one of those little bitty aspects that we've kind of mentioned before, but never really gotten into on the show. And we don't know if it's a whole show, but caching karma.
Caching karma. So this is kind of it never really kind of fit into a full show. So, but we want to spend a little time talking about this because it's interesting. And I know you have some hot sports opinions about it. So, so for those that are wondering what caching karma is, I will give you a couple definitions because there's a couple different ones. So let me bring this up. This is from Project GC, I think. Caching karma is defined as the number of finds people made of your caches divided by the number of finds you made of other people's caches. Yeah, that's correct. So we went and found ours.
And kind of the theory there is, I'm guessing you should be providing as much you should be kind of leveling it out. Like if you find 1,000 caches, you should be providing that much fun for other people.
I think that's the idea that you're providing. Right.
Yeah.
The karma that you're providing is you're getting favorite points. Is that right?
Yeah.
Number of hides.
People that have found your caches versus the number of caches you found.
That's what it is. Okay. Yeah. So, and there's a couple things on there. So I'll bring mine up first. So mine is 4.25. That's the number of hides versus the number of finds. So that means that 8,914 logs have been placed on my caches, right?
Yep.
And I have found 2,099 caches. And then the other part of your caching karma is favorite points. So I have earned on my caches that I have placed 483 favorite points. So my score on that portion of it is 0.23, which means that 483 favorite points have come back to me, and I have found 2,099, which is weird because it should show how many favorite. Well, because you can only give out.
Yeah, and so here's a caveat before we really talk about this.
That's weird.
Project, we don't know all the answers to this, but there's several questions I have. One, Project GC's numbers on this, Gary and I both checked, were not the exact same as we found on geocaching.com.
Right.
So there's got to be a discrepancy in there somewhere. So like you found 2,099 caches.
Yeah, that's correct.
Is that your correct number of caches found?
Yes.
Okay. So then that must include labs also.
It does include labs.
So that's interesting, right? Because so that means it also includes your hides of labs.
Or does it?
I don't know. So,
does it? Does it include? No, it doesn't. Because how do I know how many finds I've had on my labs?
I have no idea.
Is there a way to find that?
I'm sure there is. That's something we'd have to look into, right?
But you can manually look at it, but that doesn't really.
So, well, let's go a little bit further too. So, like, first of all, we're not advocating this is the way to cache. However,
no, we're just trying to.
This is an interesting stat out there, and some people, I'm guessing, some people are big into this number. So your caching karma number, you find that on Project GC.
Project GC, you go to your stats, and then go to your hides. So
the hides tab.
Your hides tab. So it'll look similar to that page, Project GC /statistics /profile stats # hides.
Yeah. So and so these are interesting numbers, right? And I get the idea. They're trying to say, like, the more quality caches you have out there, you should be earning more favorite points on it, which means that it kind of balances out and gives you a higher score. That's a general idea, right?
The general idea, but let's look at yours because this is kind of out of whack in my opinion. So let's look at yours and let you comment on your karma.
Well, it's not even that anything's out of whack. It's just that there's some things that you have to take into account. So yeah, I've got like a 1.9. Gary beats me, by the way, on all these scores, but I've got 1.9 on my caching karma, which is the number of hides. No, that's not true.
Number of
logs on your hides.
Logs on your hides. Yeah, number of log hides.
1,000 logs on my hides. Yeah. And I found 9,658, or I've submitted 9,658 logs.
So you basically are 2-to-1, which 1.9 is pretty good for that many. You found almost 10,000. You have almost, you do. You have 18,000 logs, find logs on your caches. That means you've done a lot of caching hides, basically. That's what it is.
Yeah. So in that instance, it looks like it would include events, labs, we think maybe. That would include it in your logs. I wonder if they're counting those too.
Yeah, and everybody remember the
log for labs, right? You don't have to leave a comment.
No, but are you getting credit for that? Because I know that I get credit if I find a lab cache because I see it. But does the owner of that lab get credit for it?
Yeah.
The first number 2 to me is maybe somewhat more indicative of how you're giving back, because you've given back so much that people have logged your
18,000 people have gotten smileys from something I've produced. Yes,
exactly. And you've only well, not only, but you found 9,000. You've given back twice that amount.
So that seems like a good score. I don't know. You're supposed to have like 1 or over, right?
Yeah, I think so. See, mine's kind of weird. I've got 2,000, well, almost 2,100 finds, but I've gotten 8,000 logs. But so it's skewed a little bit. I guess
way higher.
Way higher.
And now the other one, the favorite points one.
Yeah.
so I've got 1,300 favorite points or whatever, but I've found 9,658 caches. The thing that I think skews that is like events and labs, right? So you don't get favorite points on events or labs. So you got to keep in mind, if you're heavy on one of those, that's going to skew that second number a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, it's on Project GC. If you have to go to here, I'll show you. We'll just do it real quick.
Yeah, go to your profile and go to the hides tab, and we can show them where it is too.
Yeah, I'll do it real fast.
Well, for the people that are watching the video.
Yeah, for the video. So we'll show it to you. Let me drop the banner out of there too. Okay. So up here at the top, there's home, profile, statistics, and tools. So you go to statistics, you go down to profile stats. So general, go to profile stats, click on that, and it brings up this page, profile stats. Now you can check anybody's you want. You can put in anything here. I'll click on mine just for grins and go profile. And then there's my profile, and it's got tabs. So there's a finds tab, milestones, FTF, and you go to hides, the fourth tab over. And then you go down a little ways and you'll see caching karma. So that's where that is. It's got a lot of other cool stuff that Jesse and I tend to deep dive on and spend a lot of time. Spend a lot of time looking at these stats,
right? Because they're very, very different. Like everybody's statistics are very different, and it's funny what people focus on. There may be a line there that people are very interested in.
You're right. There's a lot of fun with these, because especially in the hide tab, that is a little weird because you're not really supposed to hide things outside of your location.
Oh, hold on. You can't make that blanket statement.
But we all have finds. We all have hides that are not near us. And the reason why is because the two for me are perfectly fine, which are an earth cache.
Yep.
And an event. So,
and labs, you can do labs probably too, right?
Yeah, probably labs too. Yeah, but you don't really want to put a traditional far from home that you're not, because it's harder to keep track of unless somebody's
helping you. Maybe you're doing some kind of cache exchange.
Yeah, cache exchange is another one. Yeah, you're right. So let's look at Memphis's while we're here.
In fact, one of my most northerly cache hidden is part of a cache exchange.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. So, but yeah, those are I would say norm or semi exceptions to the rule. So, yeah, you've got one in Canada, right?
Yep, I have one in Canada.
Even though
it's been out for quite a while.
Yeah, that's cool. And then your most southerly and your most westerly was Coffee with the Mafia. Was that down in South Carolina?
That was maybe Louisiana.
Where was this?
I don't know. Maybe Louisiana.
Oh, but this is your most westerly cache.
Texas. Oh no, then
where was this cache? I'm looking up.
That's probably Hawaii.
Oh yeah, Hawaii. Got to be Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Easterly is in New Jersey.
Yeah. Cool.
And it's also highest and lowest. Those are fun too. Now this is extremely different based on where you live, right?
Yeah. I also kind of like this is kind of fun. Finders by country. Sorry. You got a lot more, I think, than I do, but you have.
But there's a really telling reason why that's true.
Wow, look at that Northern Colorado Warago Trail. People, I mean, that's kind of cool. And why was that? Pray tell.
So, which I learned a lot from, but I published multiple caches for Omega.
Yes.
And woo, do you learn a lot about caching and everything else when you do something like that?
Woo, is that true? What year was that? 2016?
I think so, yeah.
Because I was thinking, I went to one of these. This cache that you have here, a violent explosion. That is my highest elevated
find.
I found it June 28th of 2016. Yeah, so 2016 was 14er geocache Geo Woodstock 14er. Yep. And I said valid, so don't anybody give me a hard time. I did it correctly. I didn't cheat on that one.
You didn't cheat on it.
I
But
didn't
you
cheat.
know, it's interesting. So we're talking about cashing karma, and now this may be something you get interested in, right? Like you may want to issue favorite points. You may want to earn favorite points.
Yep.
You want to put out more caches so that it kind of balances out. You may not care at all. You may go, cashing karma is dumb, and I can't believe anybody is possibly interested in that. And I don't know, where are you at with it? Do you care about cashing karma?
I don't really care about the stat, but I kind of care a little bit. I kind of care a little bit about it. I think that you should have good cash and karma. What is good cash and karma? I don't know, but I think you should have good cash and karma because I have found too often people who have taken from the game and I don't think have really given back. Does that make sense?
There's a funny stat right there from Tom. He's the number 10 finder of his own caches.
That's true.
But you know what? That does throw it off, right? Like I think I've hosted 300 something events or something.
Yeah.
That throws your stats all off. Yeah. You know, there's no favorite points on those, and you know, it's crazy. And you find your own. So that's kind of a weird one.
I mean, to me, that's really good karma that you helped with 14er. I mean, that meant a lot to Susan and I, meant a lot to a lot of people. You and Christy helped so much. And you know,
it was a lot of fun. That was a really fun event. Look, I thought cashing karma was going into work late to get a cash and stepping on dog poop.
That kind of is, that's sort of reverse. Yeah, that is
cashing karma. But so I don't personally care about the cashing karma stat. I've seen it before. I like a lot of stats. It's not something I've ever adjusted my caching to, you know, to try to get or whatever. But I'm interested in it because it is a stat and some people are interested in it. Like I guarantee you there's somebody out there that knows their number without looking it up. Like they know their current number probably without looking it up.
I've heard people
mention geocachers, and we all do really different stuff, and we get into all kinds of weird stats that we really like.
Right. Tom was right. I got to hang out with Tom a little bit, not a lot, but 14er was incredible. But there's something though to be said about it, and because I think too often, and I don't want to go negative, but too often people they'll go do things, but it's like when you ask them, say, "Hey, you live over in that little town. Could you hide some there or something?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't hide caches."
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Create an event. You know, it's like let's you know, I don't know. I
agree with you in that respect, but I don't think there's a good stat to really. I know they got to make stats for everything, right? Because that's how you track stuff. I don't think there's a really good stat to see how much somebody gives back to the game. Although I think you always should.
Yeah.
Like if you have the ability, you should probably try to give back because the game gives obviously all of us a ton of fun. You know, as somebody mentioned it earlier too, but how thankful are you that we have this hobby during the pandemic?
Right.
You know, if your hobby was going to movies, you're out of luck.
You're going to see one right now.
We have a hobby that we can still do, even in the most lockdown times of the pandemic. Most of us had rules that we could get out at least once a day and do some of that stuff.
Right.
But again, yeah, I don't. The reason why I say I don't care about that caching karma stat, and I know we're not going to beat it to death, right? But is because I don't think the stat is truly indicative of somebody's contribution to the game.
Yeah.
However, if you can give back to the game, you absolutely should.
Yeah. Scott's making the point about 3,000 finds and no hides. Or anything else, right? And that's the other thing. Maybe they don't have to hide stuff, but maybe they could volunteer. I mean, I'm always so grateful when I see somebody's volunteering for, you know, it's so funny. Some fire films, that's treasure.
Yeah.
movie fan stuff, right? Yeah,
Yeah, God, it's gotta be tough right now.
so good, but it's got to be, yeah. But thanks for Treasure, by the way. Thank you, Chris, for doing Treasure. It meant a lot to a lot of us. But yeah, you volunteer, and that's the thing. I'm always watching for people to see. I mean, everybody, most people I think that are in the chat room right now have probably done something. I don't know everybody in there.
Kind of preaching to the choir group right here, right? I mean,
a little bit.
These are the active, involved people for sure.
Yeah, but still, we can all encourage others. If you do it right, you can hopefully bring people into the fold in a sense to do. As I mentioned, somebody, or maybe I didn't mention, I mentioned to you is that I had a lot of people doing earth caches that came over from the Dallas Fort Worth area. Skippy Teddy and Casper Fly, some of our patrons, they came over and did caches, and that was kind of fun to see. It's always fun to see patrons, like you've had that happen too, where you. So,
that's an interesting question right there.
Badges or level up as a cache owner for contributing. I like that idea.
So I wish there was a way to do that. Like we've mentioned before, like we wish there was an official mentor program, or, there's some things that you can do for adding to the game, like being a volunteer at Omega. That should be a souvenir, if anything is.
Yeah.
In your profile. There's a lot of things that, if you volunteered at any event, thank you. Yes, because you're helping people out. I get that not everybody can own a cache, right? Because they can't maintain a lot of caches. Some people don't have.
Yeah, we don't want you to. Yeah, we don't want people to create one and not maintain it.
That's right. However, there's a lot of things you can do in the game to increase your non-official caching karma, so to speak.
Yeah, and there's people who can maintain a cache and can do it right, who just don't do it, who should do it. Is that good way to put it? I guess maybe.
Yeah, and like Lori said here, it may not be their cup of tea to host or even volunteer. I agree.
True too. Yeah.
There's always something you can do. I'd say one of the most valuable things, like I've mentioned it before, so I won't get into the story, but that had one dude here that helped me in the beginning, like, hey, let me tell you some things. And that was invaluable to me. Anybody can talk to somebody else. They don't have to be an official anything. They don't have to volunteer. They have to be in public, but anybody can help somebody out. And it may be as simple as, like we talked before the show, a new cacher finds your cache and has no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. So I had
turn them off from the game, or be that positive ambassador that's going to help them out. And there's no statistic that's going to measure that other than you helping the game out.
Yeah. And I'll find that as we start to kind of wrap up tonight. But I had a message I'd like to point out to everybody. Really good note that I got from somebody who, so I'll even bring it up so you can see it. I don't think they'll mind. I should have asked them if I could do this, but I don't think it'll be a problem. They sent me a message about another person. Eagle Scout 426 says he saw somebody out at one of my earth caches. Says he was struggling a lot, didn't know what to do with an earth cache. So I tried to explain, help her understand what to do. I explained how an earth cache is different than traditionals. I had how it's important to email the owner with the acquired information. I even talked with her briefly about the texture and the color of the stones. That was part of the earth cache, so she would know what I was talking about. And yes, she sent in her information, and it was great answers. Yes, I could tell it was her first because she sent me like 12 messages, which was fine. But I was so glad that this person helped this other person. That is caching karma.
That's it right there. Yeah, it doesn't fit in that statistic, right? There's no way to measure that, but
no,
that is a positive interaction happening with the game. And you wonder how many people get into the game brand new and get like a not so nice message back, like, "Hey, dummy, that's not how it works," and leave the game.
Right.
It probably happens a lot, which hopefully it doesn't, but it probably happens more than we'd like to think. And definitely, again, not measured in numbers, but still, that is caching karma.
It is absolutely. Yeah, that's important. Think about what you can do. It may not be the traditional thing to do, but maybe it is. Maybe it is just helping somebody. Maybe, like you said, maybe it is mentoring. Scott's mentioned about writing a nice log. log your DNFs. That's important because cache owners need to know if you're struggling, and that's something that's good. That's really good cache karma.
Mm-hmm.
Is
I wish
to
more people. We've mentioned it too many times on the show to recount, but I wish more people would just take that step, log their DNFs when they need to.
yeah. And
That's a really helpful part of the game, and that may be your contribution. Is you're an accurate reporter, because we know so many people don't, right?
yeah, exactly. And tell your story and be honest, because if you really think it's missing, you could write it a proper way. You could say, I looked, I really have a good feeling that this cache is not here anymore, but I don't know for sure. And then other times you could write, well, I looked, but I can't tell you one way or the other whether the cache is missing or not because I don't have a good feeling. There's time we've both been there where it's like, okay, I can't be 100% sure, but I see I see a zip tie and there's nothing to it, tied to it. Then you're like, okay, it's probably gone. I can't say 100%, but I think I found the remnants of a cache.
But isn't that when you're just supposed to throw down when you don't find it?
No, that's bad karma.
That's bad karma. Okay.
Bad karma. Don't do that.
Yeah, DNFs are for when you don't have any containers to throw down.
That's good. Now, I do check to see who the owner is, and I'll contact them.
Yeah.
And I'll tell them, hey, was your cache attached to, take a picture, was it attached to that zip tie? And they go, yes. Was it? Tell me what kind it was, and I can fix your cache for you, which you're not supposed to do.
That's going to be my new T-shirt for when I get to go to Megas again. DNF means I'm out of throwdown containers.
I'm out of throwdowns, yeah. Obviously, if I don't know the cache owner, I can't help them. So
yeah,
but I'll write something, or I'll send them a picture and go, here's what I found. I don't know if it's any good or not. And then if there's no, but there's times when I'm like, I can't find anything. And so I can't even help you. I can't trying to help the owner. So I think people don't realize, I know we all do. And I know our chat room does. And most of our listeners, I think, know this. And that is your log that you're putting on there is for the cache owner. A little bit for the next cachers to come by, but how much percentage do you think is that log is for the owner?
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. To cut to the chase of all of this, and there's a good example here. Jeremy's got, someone told me not to DNF his cache and just sign and drop. That's perfectly legal, of course.
Sure. Well,
and there's other people that have, what somebody else said, they saw one that was broken and they'll replace an easy one and said delete if necessary, enjoy the free container. That's perfectly okay. Here's the thing. There's so many different ways to play this game. Play it and have fun. As long as you're not tearing anybody else's stuff up, who cares?
Yeah.
The problem comes in and bad karma comes in when people start attacking each other for how they play the game.
Well, that's bad.
It's a game where we're looking for trash most of the time. Let's be honest about it. We're looking for trash in the woods. It's a fun game. It's not worth getting on each other about.
Oh, no. People do that too much.
But we're encouraging people to not do that. Hey, guess what? Have fun. If somebody else plays a way you don't like, unless it's tearing up your stuff, you didn't lose any money from that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
I haven't found where they give us money for this game yet. So if you're missing something, please let me know.
If Daniel Flieger is hiring, there's how you make money making geocaches.
Yeah, I haven't seen that on LinkedIn or what is it, Indeed.com or whatever.
Yeah,
yet.
you haven't seen that yet.
Professional geocacher has not emailed me yet. So,
yeah. So, okay. All right. You want to wrap up and hit the
yeah. And we kind of we've been wanting to talk about Cache and Karma for a long time because it's specific, but it's also like an idea, right? You should be contributing back to the game, like we say all the time. And you can get caught up in statistics all you want, but just have fun. That's the big thing. Have fun with it. Add to the game if you can, in the way that you can, but don't feel pressured to do any part that you can't do.
Right. I like it. I think that's perfect. We'll end with that. So, Thanks, everybody. Smash the like button if you would for us, please.
And I assume everybody here is already subscribed, but if not, subscribe because I don't even know how many shows we have coming out per week now, but you don't want to miss any. We have like 15 shows a week, I think, coming out now. So.
I know we're blowing up. Who knows? We may end up with more than we could ever think of. So, yeah, definitely. And stay tuned. We'll hopefully be able to share some info soon. Not next week, but soon, and not too far in the future. Maybe, possibly.
Hold on, I was wrong. This is a game where you can earn money. I had $1 in cash yesterday, so that changes my opinion.
Dang it. In Texas, so Adam's he may not have found in Texas, but possibly so. And down in Texas, you make money down here. So come on down, move to Texas, and you can win fabulous prizes geocaching. Okay, maybe not. So, all right.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight, as well as our new format. Please email us your comment at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.